The full moon in Capricorn on Monday, July 3rd, opposes Mercury, suggesting tensions between our minds and our hearts and needing to balance the two. Let's take a closer look and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you'd like to work with me, check out the links down below. You can book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, leave me a like or a comment. It really helps YouTube move my videos to the front of the line and helps me to feel happy to bring you content. So I really appreciate that. Before we dive in, I wanted to let you know that I create candles and oils with astrologically magical properties. I carefully select the time and use the ritual elements, offerings, and kind of infuse the candles and oils with the energy of the moment. My most recent creation is from June 19th. It's Mercury in Gemini candle, and I also have oils, candles and oils. And this one is decorated with an emerald stone, the stone of Mercury. It's orange, which is the color of Mercury, and it smells like lemongrass and citrus. I really like the iridescent jar. To me, that's like very Mercury and Gemini, not one specific things. And if you are someone who struggles with anxiety or kind of mental stress and like mental health issues, highly recommend Moonlit Trinity or Moon in Cancer for calming down your mind. They can actually also help with like fertility and emotional well-being. I have, at this point, I probably have like 9 or 10 candles in rotation. So sometimes I have to like remind myself what they do. So let's talk about the full moon. The full moon in general is the opposition between the sun and the moon. We plant intentions at the new moon. We start a new cycle. The seed breaks through the ground and grows. And at the time of the full moon, it blooms. So it's the time when we harvest the results of our past actions, or we get the harvest of the seeds we have planted. In this case, we actually had the new moon in Capricorn on December 23rd, 2022. So reflect back in terms of what was happening in your life, what was starting in your life around that time, because those topics will be completing right now. The full moon occurs on Monday, July 3rd at 7:38 a.m. Eastern in 11 degrees Capricorn. You will feel it especially strongly if you have planets between about 8 and 14 degrees Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra. All of the cardinal signs, because then you will experience a conjunction, opposition, or a square to your natal placements. For me, my natal Mercury is at 11 degrees Libra, so we'll see how that affects my mind, potentially in a quite contradictory way. But any challenging aspects, they're always here to help us find better balance, and so is full moon. Full moon is literally the opposition between the sun, which is a more conscious energy, and the moon, which is more emotional energy. So when we have the full moons, we are dealing with these opposing energies trying to find balance, right? Cancer is the mother of the zodiac, right? Forgive me, Cancers who are not interested in having children. There's plenty of those out there, but Cancer has this nurturing, protective, motherly energy. And Capricorn is the father of the zodiac, right? It's more ambitious, goal-oriented, hardworking, sort of hardened, right? And Cancer would be very much about emotional stability, while Capricorn is a lot more about resources and finances and recognition, or kind of accomplishing things in the outside world, versus Cancer values emotional stability, emotional fulfillment. So with this full moon, we are called to find balance between two. We're called to full moons, since they do bring completion, they often bring rewards, but they can also bring changes and endings. So here you're looking at some of the Capricornian topics in your chart, at some of the ambitions or some of the boundaries, some of the traditional parts of yourself and perhaps revising them or letting some of them go. What's interesting, we just had the full moon occurs on July 3rd. Leading into it on July 1st, we had Mercury Cazimi. So Mercury Cazimi in the sign of Cancer is very much about insights. It's very much about understanding what you feel passionate about. It's understanding what you emotionally crave. And then on July 2nd, we actually have Venus in a square to Uranus. So there's some shakeups, right? First understanding, then shakeups, then the full moon offering you a chance to integrate the lessons and perhaps release with the Venus square Uranus, release what is holding you back, right? And innovate and rethink, redo, right? Very kind of, it's not a retrograde. Retrograde has redo energy, but I think these aspects leading into it make me wonder if there is some hardened parts of ourselves, some kind of self-protective shells that we need to shed in order to allow the soft and mushy part of the crab, we are in Cancer season, to be seen and to shine. So the moon opposes Mercury, right? Like I said, the sun just conjoined Mercury on July 1st, allowing us to see things clearly, to understand ourselves, to explore what makes us happy. And now, as the moon opposes Mercury, there's some tension there. There's either things we're still clinging onto that are familiar. Maybe the moon in the Mercury Cazimi in Cancer made us realize that we really just want to spend more time with family. But the full moon in Capricorn could introduce some of those patterns that are so familiar to us, or some of the beliefs that are so familiar to us that are actually not productive, that need to be released, right? Like maybe we believe that we have to work because if you don't work, you're just wasting your time, for example. So very much moon opposite Mercury, tension between that, like Mercury in Cancer, more subjective, more emotional, versus moon in Capricorn. It's still the moon, but moon in Capricorn is like ambition, success, productivity, all of that kind of stuff. So you really need to examine how many of your ambitions are helpful and how many are not. And moon opposite Mercury can actually be a sign of miscommunications, misunderstandings, or like a need to have conversations about your feelings, but maybe you're struggling to get your point across. I would encourage you to still talk about the things you're experiencing, but do not be surprised if it takes you a few attempts to talk about it. But like the full moon is ruled by Saturn, right? And the sun and Mercury are in an emotional sign of Cancer. So it's almost like Saturn is in Pisces. Like there's like a lot of water energy, and we get this earth to figure out how we can better manage our emotions, and B, how can we become more open, right? And how can we get to where we're trying to go? So basically like releasing some of the hardened, unnecessary energy and finding ways to better be in touch with our feelings, I think, is the theme here. So let's break it down for all 12 signs and see what this could bring for you. If you are an Aries rising, the full moon is happening in your 10th house, and we had a new moon on December 23rd, 2022. Did you start something new at work? Did you start a new project? Did you embrace a new job title? Did you ask for more responsibilities? Because this could be the time when you get the responsibilities, or you get a bonus, or you complete the project you have started and maybe feel ready to move on to the next chapter of your life. Very much professional life is highlighted. The opposition to Mercury in the 4th house suggests to me that your attention is currently perhaps more dedicated to home and family and having more peace and more comfort and security. So I think your view of the job is changing as you are starting to prioritize these other things. Maybe you're even moving and your work situation is changing because of that. So try to look for better work-life balance, and do not hesitate to let something go at work that is not helpful for the balance. If you are a Taurus rising, the full moon is happening in your 9th house, and we had a new moon on December 23rd, 2022. What was happening in your life back then? The new moon could have introduced a new course of study, a trip, an opportunity to move, an opportunity to publish your work, maybe a new philosophy in your life. And now as the full moon happens in your 9th house, you are going through a change of perspective. Perhaps something you once believed in no longer feels aligned with who you are. You can also experience changes when it comes to education. Maybe you're completing a course of study. Maybe the trip you've been planning is finally here and you're ready to move on to planning the next trip in your life. The opposition to Mercury in the 3rd house is interesting because it's like you're trying to balance your aspirations for your your desires for a larger role in the world with your immediate concerns and with the immediate things that you have to handle. So it's important to, not give up on one versus the other, because Mercury and the Sun in the 3rd say that maybe you just want to relax. Maybe you want to spend some time with siblings, but there's all these goals that you have that are taking your attention away from it. So look for ways to kind of not only aspire for the future and not only dream about the horizons, but also for ways of being present, right? Like what kind of exams you need to take, what kind of conversations you need to have, what kind of projects you need to pursue in order to then have an opportunity to kick back and relax and hang out with people you truly like hanging out with. If you are a Gemini rising, the full moon highlights your 8th house, suggesting a change in the dynamics you share with other people. We had a new moon in December, late December 23rd, 2022, which could have brought a new contract with other people. You could have signed a contract, you could have started a partnership, you could have set on a journey of paying off a debt, or applied for a loan, and this full moon is a completion of that journey, right? So maybe you're paying off a debt right now that you took on later. Maybe you're closing an agreement with other people. What's interesting is the Sun and Mercury, the Mercury cazimi happened in your 2nd house. So to me, it reads as your values are changing. Your values are changing. You're starting to care for different things. You're maybe starting to care for things that are more emotionally aligned with you. And as we get this full moon in the 8th house, you're looking to changing your relationships with other people and your obligations so they can match your inner change. So look for ways to maybe talk to a financial advisor, to talk to your partner, to have some honest conversations with people you share resources with, and get on the same page, right? If you feel no longer aligned with moving to California and your partner is still saving money for it, maybe talk to them about it. Be honest. If you are a Cancer rising, there's a full moon in your 7th house. And 7th house is the place of relationships, partnerships, one-on-one, significant dynamics, right? 7th house always holds people you can call in the middle of the night and they're not going to hang up on you. So the full moon in the 7th house represents changes in those dynamics, right? Take a look back at the new moon we had in Capricorn on December 23rd, 2022, and let me know in the comments below what kind of new beginnings have you started. Have you started a relationship? Have you committed to someone or something? Have you started a business, right? Because the full moon is the time for a change. It's the time you complete a relationship, you complete a project, you maybe move a relationship to a different level, you dissolve a relationship if it no longer makes you happy. Very significant for romantic or business or any other kind of strong relationships you have. The opposition to Mercury in the first house and the fact that we just had the Cazimi in your first house, to me, says that you are experiencing more self-understanding. Maybe you're investing into yourself. Maybe you're taking more classes or seeing a therapist or working on changing your style and kind of growing, right? And as you grow, the relationships that are meant to stay and relationships that are ready to evolve with you will evolve with you. And the ones that are not on the same page, those people may need to be released, and those projects may need to be released as well. Let me know how this resonates in the comments below. If you are a Leo rising, the full moon activates your 6th house, and in the 6th house we are looking at your everyday life. Hurdles you deal with, problems you solve, things you eat, doctors you see, how many times you exercise. So with the full moon in Capricorn, all of those topics are getting zoomed on. Take a look back at what was happening in this area back in December 2022 when we had a new moon in Capricorn. So if you have started a health routine, or if you have started looking for a job, the full moon could be the time when you get confident in the routine, you see the results, or you get the job that you've been looking for. Maybe you get over a health issue that you've been trying to work on. Maybe you realize that a habit you have is not supportive. Changes around work relationships are also likely, especially look back at, what got started in December. Maybe you realize that you need to speak up for yourself. What's interesting is the full moon opposes Mercury in the 12th house. The sun is also in your 12th house, and on some level you really crave rest. You crave imaginative work, you crave spiritual work, yoga, meditation, creativity, right? But the full moon in the 6th says that, okay, before you get there, you have to organize your immediate environment. You have to talk to people in your life that you need space. You have to talk to your boss that you cannot work weekends because it's your time to join your crochet group. If you are in one, let me know. Are those even a thing? So before you kind of have a better balance in your life, you really need to take a look at your habits, at your protocols, at your self-care, and perhaps release what's not crucial and what's destructive, and keep the things that are healthy and beneficial to you. If you are a Virgo rising, there's a full moon in your 5th house. And 5th house is the place of joy. It's the place of romance, creativity, children. Take a look back at what got started in this area in December 2022 when we had a new moon in Capricorn. If you have started a new relationship, it may be completing right now or moving to the next level. If you have started trying for a baby, you may get pregnant. If you have been working on a creative baby, you may see it come to fruition and be ready to move on to the next level. For example, you started writing a book 6 months ago. Now you deliver it to your editor, for example. The opposition to Mercury and the Sun in the 11th is a sign that you are craving, I think, you're craving new dreams, you're craving new horizons, you're craving a different role in the collective. And as you're trying to accomplish it, the full moon is asking you to look at what is important, look at what is joyful, and perhaps clear a little bit your immediate relationships, kind of clarify for yourself what brings you joy, and release the clutter or release the things that don't bring you joy. And let me know how this resonates in the comments below. If you are a Libra rising, the full moon happens in your 4th house, and 4th house is the place of home, family, living situation. So the full moon will bring changes there. It can bring a move, it can bring a completion of a renovation project. a change in the family dynamic where maybe your parents move to a new home, right? Maybe they go and move to Florida or something, or they move back from Florida. A parent or a family member may be going through a significant change. Take a look back at the new moon in Capricorn we had on December 23rd, 2022. What was happening in your home, family, and living situation back then? It could also be the time where you realize that your relationship with family has changed, or your view on what family is has transformed, right? I was spending, as a Libra rising, like right around late December, I went to my boyfriend's family's house for Christmas, and it felt kind of awkward, not gonna lie, because it was me and a bunch of like new people, right? And I'm really friendly, as hopefully comes across in my videos, but it wasn't, it was like very emotional, I think, because I wasn't at home, I wasn't with my family, my grandparents passed away, and the concept of holidays is so different right now. And what's interesting is, like, you know, the full moon hasn't happened yet when I'm filming, but I've been connecting with his family on a deeper level. So it's so meaningful to me to see how in the last 6 months now I sort of, you know, talk to them a little bit more. We had a reason to talk to because he just had surgery. So there's definitely an element of like feeling like maybe, you know, like his family can be my family somehow. I'll keep you posted. But like it's interesting because the view of family, the view of comfort can be transforming with this full moon quite significantly, I think. And Pluto being back in Capricorn is probably a part of that too, because it's not just the full moon. The full moon opposes Mercury in the 10th house, so it's also fascinating because with Cancer season, there's a lot of focus on your career and your aspirations and your maybe bird's eye view of where you want to be in the world. And the full moon says that zoom out for a little bit, go and look at your home, family, living situation and make changes to that so you can have a safe home base, and then you can go venture outside and explore and accomplish all the things you want to accomplish. If you are a Scorpio rising, the full moon activates your 3rd house. And here you are looking at your relationship with siblings, at your relationship with neighbors, at your communication style, at your skills and hobbies and knowledge, and something is transforming here, right? Like maybe your schedule is changing. Because what's interesting is the Sun and Mercury are in the 9th house, and they draw a lot of your attention to travel. They draw a lot of your attention to studying, to writing, to sort of pursuing maybe bigger things, like venturing into the world and, you know, presenting yourself as a teacher, as a guide, as a guru. Watch out for ideological debates. This is kind of highly likely here to like get in fights with people over what's right and wrong. But as the Cancer season draws you to the higher mind topics, can also be important kind of like legal matters that you're dealing with, could be significant at this time. The full moon in the 3rd says that you need to examine your everyday life. You need to examine your schedule. You need to examine how you communicate, even your relationship with people in your immediate environment, like your siblings. They need to get organized. You need to get organized about those things. You need to maybe release the clutter or rethink how you handle conflict or how you handle the demands of your family. Look for ways to rearrange those things and sort of find better balance in your life and in your communication. And we had a new moon in Capricorn in late December 2022, which is when the situation could have introduced itself. So yeah, like maybe around in December 2022, your siblings started dealing with some kind of issue, and around the time of the full moon, they complete it or they move on to the next chapter of their life. But I feel like this is very much about examining your immediate environment before you can get to the goals you're trying to accomplish. If you are a Sagittarius rising, there's a full moon in your second house in opposition to Mercury in the 8th house. So full moon in the second house brings changes to your finances. It means either you leave a job or you get a raise that you've been applying for, or you rethink how you make money. Something you've been working on, it's the house of values. It's also the house of money. So there might be a transformation to what's important to you, what is valuable to you. And take a look at the new moon we had in Capricorn on December 23rd, 2022. What was happening with your finances? What was happening with your interests at the time? So something you could have started is coming full circle right now. If you started a job, if you started a money-making project that could be completing. If you asked for a raise, you may receive it at this time. If you started working on paying off a debt, maybe you pay off that debt finally. So the changes that are happening in your resources are likely connected to the inner transformation because the Sun and Mercury are currently in your 8th house. And we had Mercury Cazimi on July 1st, suggesting perhaps opportunities to work with other people, opportunities to rely on other people, even getting some kind of support from the government for the work that you're doing, or getting more involved, maybe even your partner stepping up and you starting a joint bank account. So as you're working on building better relationships and better financial dynamics with other people, that is also why your personal finances are changing. Maybe your partner says that you don't have to work and you're working at a job you really don't like, so you choose to let it go and start looking for a job that makes you happy. And let me know how this resonates in the comments below. If you are a Capricorn rising, there's a full moon in your 1st house opposite Mercury in the 7th house. And so here you're going through changes to your look, to your personality, to your goals, and self-understanding. Take a look back at the new moon we had in Capricorn on December 23rd, 2022. What kind of projects have you started? Have you started a health routine? Maybe you began exercising 5 times a week, or you've began a new skincare routine. There's so many possibilities, but it's something really personal. Around this time, you can see that health routine become more significant for you. Maybe you started exercising and you look at yourself and you're like, I'm happy with the progress. Maybe the project you've been working on is completing. The Sun and Mercury are currently in your 7th house and they're opposing this full moon. So the Sun and Mercury in the 7th feels like you are really focused on relationships right now. And as you are experiencing breakthroughs and you're learning new things about partnerships and relationships, you may be getting a chance to reinvent yourself too, because people in your life could be great mirrors or great they can give you feedback, right, about what you do and what you're trying to accomplish. So as you begin partnerships, you are examining how you present yourself to the world and maybe releasing some bad habits or bringing forth some new healthy habits. If you are an Aqua rising, there's a full moon in your 12th house, and 12th house is the place of mental health, spirituality, healing, imagination, blind spots, right? So we had a new moon here in late December 2022. It could have brought deep insights, perhaps about spending too much time on social media and you decided to limit your engagement with it, or about drinking too much and you decided to start monitoring how much you drink. So the full moon could be a completion of that chapter. It could bring changes to your mental health, like I said, maybe a sense of accomplishment, maybe a need to release a habit that you thought about but never actually took the time to process. It could also be the time where you are examining the past and some of your kind of unhealthy behaviors. Could be a lovely time for therapy and for journaling and meditating and just kind of cleansing yourself. You know, you can even do a literal, like, maybe fast during the full moon. Don't do it if your health doesn't allow it, but some kind of purge almost. Yeah, like even, I don't know, like writing something and like lighting a candle. Maybe it's one of Anastasia's candles. And like releasing it, right? Because full moons are really good for release. The opposition to Mercury in the 6th house tells me that you are likely very focused on your work right now and the duties you have and kind of responsibilities, and maybe even your physical health. But the full moon in Capricorn says that in order to have a better work-life balance or in order to have better physical health, you need to look at the things that are unspoken, at the habits, at the mental health patterns, at the past kind of, you know, wounds that you're holding on, and maybe get a chance to process them and release them. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, if you are a Pisces rising, the full moon is happening in your 11th house, suggesting a completion of a group project, a change of a dream, a change in your friendships and your networks. Take a look back at December 23, 2022, when we had a new moon in Capricorn. Have you heard about a new opportunity? Have you met some new people? Have you started a group project, began volunteering, and maybe, you know, became kind of more important in the community? Because the full moon suggests that things that got started back then are coming full circle right now. So if it's a new dream, maybe you see that dream bloom or change to kind of reflect how you're changing and transforming. The Sun and Mercury are in the 5th house, suggesting that you're getting more understanding of what makes you happy, suggesting developments in love, connected to children maybe, and so your dreams are transforming in accordance to that, and your friendships are changing as well. So let's say if you started a new relationship and you move in together, maybe your friends, you start to prioritize sort of double date kind of scenarios. Don't abandon your friends. So yeah, like it could be the time where you see how your friendships have transformed in the last 6 months and you start to choose connections that are more supportive, maybe letting go of the ones that are dragging you down or bringing you back. Even perhaps seeing the progress on social media or seeing the progress of a referral somebody made for you or an opportunity that a friend brought into your life is likely here. So I hope this video was enjoyable and helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you think, and I will see you very soon. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.